up on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City after show.
You can go.
You're not hearing me, Mare.
Little girl.
She thought I was just gonna serve her forever.
First rule about Mary Cosby is don't be surprised by Mary Cosby.
She loves to throw jabs and then follow it out with like, ooh, did I say that? Yeah, you said it, Mary, and you meant it.
Anyone that hears Whitney's voice, it just sounds like a little girl.
Listen, I want you to call me little. You can call me fat in the ass, but little everywhere else. Except the titties, because those are already on they're on their own planet.
Okay, I want to ask you this directly. Do people at your church think you're God?
No. They're making all the moles into mountains when it comes to me now because of Jen. And they never would treat Jen like they treated me. Whitney would never yell at Jen. Kidding me? She don't know if she'd wake up or not.
I have stood behind Mary because she has been a good friend to me. But I am being told all these cryptic messages and I'm getting angry and upset.
This is very hypocritical of you to come after me, but yet things that are out there about Mary, you won't have the discussion. For somebody that is so heavily indoctrinated in their own bull about how they stand for everything right and against nothing wrong, what are you doing, Meredith?
Your Real Housewives of Salt Lake City after show starts now.
A reoccurring comment Mary makes this year is calling people little girl.
You can go.
You're not hearing me, Mare.
Little girl. You know, if it was anybody else other than Mary M. Cosby, I would be like, oh my gosh, yes, you can't say that, it's offensive. But it's Mary M. Cosby. Okay, so let me break it down for everybody, okay? When she does that, it's like I'm not saying it's right, I'm just explaining what's going on due to my experience with Mary.
Bye, Jen.
No, but you just
Jen,
asked
bye. Have a good day.
She's triggered by something, and I think that's like her go-to, like, okay, sit down, little girl, have a drink of water, little girl, be quiet, little girl, don't talk, little girl, those kinds of things. It's just like her go-to. And for some reason, everybody here in our friend group gets offended by that. Listen, I want you to call me little. You can call me fat in the ass, but little everywhere else. That's what I want you to call me, except the titties, because those are already they're on their own planet. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you will go farther with Mary if you just understand that that's just Mary.
It is a way for Mary to look down upon, and it's a less than
Diminish.
Diminish, yeah. What's interesting is she calls Lisa little girl.
I don't deal with little girls like you.
I don't even understand what's happening.
She's definitely using it as an insult. And when I get called a little girl, Lisa's like, I want to be called a little girl. I'm like, no, you don't, bitch. You know it's an insult because she called you a little girl too. Like, you're not better than me either, Lisa.
I don't really care when she says it to me. I'm like, whatever, Mary. But I think for Whitney, who's trying to figure out who Whitney is, to have somebody, like, she takes it more to heart. Like, to me, I'm just like, here we go again, Mary. Mary's mad and she's throwing some jabs. But I think for Whitney, she takes it so to heart and so personally, where I'm just like, whatever.
I don't find little girl being offensive. I don't remember calling Lisa a little girl, but I call Whitney a little girl because I feel like she still has womaning up to do. She needs to, leveling up to be she's still, I don't know, she's still harvesting and she's still finding who Whitney is. But I find, I used to call her Barbie, and she said that I offended her calling her Barbie. So I started calling her little girl. Now it's offensive to call her little girl, but I didn't call her little girl out of anger.
You can go.
You're not hearing me, Mare.
Little girl.
Well, I did that day.
Mary gets angry and things just start coming. She's in the moment, she gets heated, but she cools down pretty quickly. And I don't think she even realizes that she's saying these things in the moment, because there are times where after the fact I've had a conversation with her and she'll be like, wait, I said that? Like, yeah, you did.
She loves to throw jabs and then follow it out with like, ooh, did I say that? Yeah, you said it, Mary, and you meant it. Like, that's her like, oh, my pastor hat is on. Ooh, I didn't mean to be mean. But, it is jabby. It's not fun to be around somebody that's constantly negative.
Anyone that hears Whitney's voice, it just sounds like a little girl, and it's okay. So it just comes out naturally, like little girl, but it's not to be demeaning. It's not to say that, well, I guess I am saying she needs to mature, but sometimes they can act like little girls, I guess. So that's why I call them little girls. I don't know.
This season, your church became the center of attention.
She's a cult leader that has them on food stamps.
They'll beat you down until they get what they want.
Is that why you mortgaged your house?
The rumors are that Mary and Robert are predators.
Why do you think this is all coming up now?
Jen. I feel like they thought, okay, well, we got to keep everything, in the know now because we didn't know anything about Jen.
We are a group of women who have just been completely traumatized by our friend getting arrested practically in front of us.
Well, they didn't even care to ask about Jen. They would have never did this to Jen. Never. Whitney would never yell at Jen. You kidding me? She don't know if she'd wake up or not. Yelling at Jen.
Oh, drown me, bitch.
It just felt like, Jen, she's in this big scandal and she's got like multiple authorities coming for her. So why all of a sudden now I'm a cult leader? I'm God. I'm worshipped.
The congregation believes that Mary is God.
It's like they're making all the moles into mountains when it comes to me now because of Jen. They say things that's not true and it hurts because it's not me. I didn't start this. I didn't start this, what I was raised in. My grandmother started my church in 1961, which was during the middle of civil rights. She came to Utah. There was not a single minority here. She had my mom and my two aunts and my uncle, and they were babies, 8, 9, and 10. And she found a lady that she could clean her home, and she lived in the basement of her home. Once people found out that she was in the basement of her home, they kicked my grandmother out. They kicked all her things out. They put it in the yard. They kicked the kids out, and they actually put it on the news and called her a cult. So when they say things about my church, it touches me because my grandmother started this church, and I believe in my grandma and I believe in her church, and it's still going 61 years later. And so that's why it goes back to a real place that is not okay with me. And that's what goes through my mind. Ouch. Like, it was a lot of suffering that came behind our church. So that's why I'm touchy. I always told Robert Sr. and Robert Jr., my life wouldn't be beautiful if they wasn't in it and I didn't have them to share it with me. Otherwise, I'm just sitting here like, okay, this is pretty. And I feel like my church is like that. It's like a place, it has a beautiful feeling and it leaves you, when you leave, you feel great and you feel beautiful. And I want to share that with people. And so to knock it's like ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
One of the things that you also say is that your entire life, people have hated you for your life and for your lifestyle.
I've been through this my whole life. My whole life, because people's hated me for my life and my lifestyle.
Well, I mean, just growing up, Mary, people just always was just, I feel like I have a confidence about me that is unsettling for certain people. If people aren't secure in who they are, if they meet me, I come across as, I don't have all these afterthoughts, all these pre-worries of what people think of me. I don't care if people judge me. I don't care if people say things about me and they don't know the truth. And, it's like, I don't wobble in that. And my whole life, I feel like I was talked about. My whole life, I was, just, I don't know, I was just different. I was just like the black sheep of everything. I mean, even like in junior high, I'd always have one good friend. I didn't want like a whole bunch of friends because I don't know, they always backstab me. And so I just grew up being used to being talked about because of my lifestyle, I guess. And my lifestyle is being raised in Utah, being the only Black girl, being the only minority in the entire school. I mean, it wasn't even a Black piano. It was just me. And, they would play slave movies and the whole class turned around and looked at me. And I remember I was in 3rd grade. We had a substitute teacher and I went up to her for a math problem and she punched me in my stomach and called me and it knocked the wind out of me. And I remember leaving the school, going home crying to my mom. My mom takes me back to the school. They had made the lady leave. So it's just like, it's always been like I don't know, they don't like me. A lot of people don't know, they don't know that what you go through being African-American. and being raised in Utah, in Salt Lake City. And if you don't tell them, they will never know. And I think it's made me who I am. It toughened me. And it by the time I embarked on this friend group, I was used to it. I'm used to being treated or mistreated or treated differently or mistreated or judged or something in that area. And I'm just somewhere trying to be fabulous. I'm just trying to get through life and love what I wear, make sure my hair is not a bad hair day. I'm just immune to bad treatment. And that's just it. It's not a victim. It's just something I've noticed my whole life. My grandmother used to protect me, and I think that's why I always refer to her, and that's why I always because she was somebody I can hide under, I guess.
You pointed out what you felt was a double standard about how some of the ladies treated you and how they treated Mary Cosby.
My own cousin, my first cousin, his best friend is terrified.
Wait, what?
People are saying that she's a cult leader, that has them on food stamps. Somebody commits suicide. People are fearing for their life. And when is someone going to hold her accountable? It's like we're not allowed to ask Mary about it.
So all these things are being talked about, and nobody wants to confront Mary with it though. And so it's like this double standard where I'm like, listen, if there is one little peep about Jen Shah, we're having a come to Jesus pho luncheon.
Jen, everybody was talking.
Everybody was talking to you.
It was big news. It was the big thing about dinner. It was everybody was talking about it.
Yes.
We're all going to confront her. But it's not the same with everybody, and that's the part I don't understand. There's a lot of people out there that testify that this is what it is, that we're members of the church.
They wrap your entire life around a single idea, as though it is the difference between heaven and hell for you.
That's really intense.
But nobody will talk about it with Mary. Nobody will have the discussion.
I have stood behind Mary because she has been a good friend to me, but I am being told all these cryptic messages and nothing is clear, and I'm getting angry and upset.
It's very interesting because, Meredith represents herself as very logical, very reasonable, good judgment. I don't do anything wrong, and I'm above any of the riffraff. She presents herself as that. So for her, that was a weird thing this season to see Mary and Meredith so close, because I'm like, when you're tight like that, you support whatever that person's doing. Right? I mean, you are who you hang around. That's what they say. If you're gonna support Donald Trump, you agree with what Donald Trump stands for, right? That's what everybody would assume. So for you to you and Mary are like this, okay, so you're okay with all the rumors, and why don't you help dispel them then, because we're all confused. That whole relationship was so weird. I don't know if she befriended Mary to get at me because she thought Mary and I weren't close.
You're gonna go with Mary to grandfather?
Who knows? It was there's no rhyme or reason to it, because for somebody that is so heavily indoctrinated in their own bullshit about how they stand for everything right and against nothing wrong, what are you doing, Meredith? This is very hypocritical of you to come after me with stuff that's not even, it's just out there.
Even today, one of my friends mentioned something to me that had been told to me previously, which was that she's red flagged in the system of Louis Vuitton because she pays in cash. Now, I don't know if it's true or false. It's gossip.
It's just out in the media. It's not true. You come after me, but yet things that are out there about Mary, you won't have the discussion. But if it's me, then it's okay to have the discussion. There's no victims. There's no anybody out there saying I was wronged by Jen Shah, or this is what there's none of that. There are real people that are putting this out about Mary, and so the point is, it's just why do you have the double standard? It doesn't make any sense.
One of the biggest conflicts between you and Meredith was the situation with Brooks.
I feel that Jen has made
homophobic commentary about Brooks. She knows nothing about his sexuality. He has not labeled himself as gay, and she's busy labeling him that way.
When I got accused of being homophobic, listen, you should have done your research, honey, and picked a different lane, because that is the most absurd thing I've ever heard of. Like, I'm gay, pretty much. I'm like a drag queen. I think I said that years ago before we even started. So, bitch, don't go there with me. I'm like, I had my own goddamn float during Pride. So, like, come on. Like, that was like, come on. That is so, 80% of my family is gay, lesbian, or trans, okay? I've been a huge supporter my entire goddamn life. I didn't just put it in my mother profile the day before we launched. I didn't go do a photo shoot on the Salt Flats just because. This is what I live. This is my family. This didn't just start 5 years ago. This started when my gay first cousins were ironing my hair, my Moana hair, with the iron on the ironing board, okay? Because we were trying to make it look straight and there were no flattening irons yet, okay? That's what we were doing. When we were over there trying to like make makeup out of like some bullshit food coloring and paste and like, no, that's what we were doing, wearing crowns and I've been doing that since I was little. And my whole family, like, that's why I'm so involved in the community. That's why I thought, I was like, yeah, this one, it's like, anyone that knows me knows it's like ridiculous. It was hurtful to hear her say that because it's something near and dear to my heart. That's like saying I don't like black people. What? Like, come on. My husband's black. My kids are black. Like, what are you talking about? It's so ridiculous. Meredith is just, she tries to find things that are I care about and then use it against me because I do care. These are things that I would never out anybody or do anything. Listen, if you feel a certain way, let's talk about it. But let's talk about it because my intentions are never that, you know? Just the whole thing, it doesn't make sense. Listen, I could sneeze and you're just gonna come up with some issue, you know?
You and Mary once seemed like good friends, but you did end the season in kind of a rocky place.
I'm sorry for talking about your church. I would have not done that had you not put me down first. So don't roll your eyes.
So I don't
roll your eyes.
Hold on.
Don't roll your
But don't
eyes.
validate yourself either.
What do you think was the turning point in your relationship?
I didn't answer her phone call right away.
Next time, pick the phone up.
I tried really hard.
But you didn't call me back, nor did you text me.
Mayor, I was driving
But it's
carpool.
okay.
So I had my children and 2 other children in my car, and it's not responsible to FaceTime while you're driving your car with children or yourself. And I didn't answer the FaceTime. I texted her and said, I will call you back when I can. I then tried to call her. She didn't answer. She was so ticked off that I didn't answer her phone call the first time that she called.
That's gospel truth. Like, pick up first or second ring or you will be in the crosshairs, you know?
Don't even let it go remotely last ring to voicemail.
Oh.
Because she'll hang up and then you didn't answer.
And if you decline with the doodle decline,
They know you're calling, they don't pick it up.
you're cut off forever.
Yeah, Jesus will be knocking at your door.
I was not hurt with Whitney about the phone call. I got more upset about the fact that when she yelled at me.
I was driving carpool with my children.
Don't yell at me.
I'm not above anything.
You can go.
You're not hearing me, Mayor.
Little girl.
Lisa's very cruel to Whitney. Jen Shah threatened Whitney's life over and over last season.
Roll your mother eyes and look over there one more time. I'll drown you, bitch.
And not one time did she feel free to yell at them.
I'm not rolling my eyes, Jen. The last thing I want to do is hurt you.
Not once, but to be okay to yelling at me is when I triggered and lost my cool. And that's really was the sole substance of why. But I was not angry about her not calling me.
Really, what I think is it stemmed from her watching season 1. I think she watched it later on than like the rest of us because at the luncheon, at Mary's luncheon, I don't mean to go back, but it is important to note that when I go, yeah, Mary, I'm only 30, but you're all old AF acting like you're 10.
You don't even,
I
you're
know,
30, you don't even.
My age doesn't, I'm here at the dinner. I am 30, and you're all old as and acting like you're 10.
That triggered her, and that was the first time that Mary actually had an issue with me. She annihilated my phone with the most hateful, rude text messages. And then that carried on into season 2 when I didn't answer her phone call. But I think that there was already something boiling with her because I don't think she ever expected me to speak my mind about her, to her, or for her. She thought I was just going to serve her forever.
Make her eggs forever. First rule about Mary Cosby is don't be surprised by Mary Cosby. And if you speak her name and she's not in the mood to hear it, she will let you know in a barrage of like 7 to 8 paragraph long texts telling you why you are alone and single and living small, according to her. Yeah. Nothing about the text messages or the interactions with Mary that I've had have indicated to me that she's a woman of faith or a woman of God. It's very cruel. It's very, very unprovoked, and it's horrifying. And I echo everything Whitney just said.
What has your family's reaction been to you discussing your place in the Mormon church on television?
I never once said that you need to leave the church. I never once said don't be Mormon. I just said I can't be me and be Mormon, and it's making me messed up, you know? I wish I could be who I am and still be a good Mormon.
Of course you do.
Just to honor Dad and just to honor our family and just to not screw up everybody.
Well, my family is deeply, deeply dedicated, active Mormons. And so they do it the Mormon way, which is, what is the Mormon way, Whitney? We don't speak of it.
Yes, you sweep it under the rug. But they'll all talk about it individually alone.
I'm sure they have conversations privately where they, pray for me and hope that I will see the light. But I have never had a conversation with any of my immediate family about it because they refuse to acknowledge it. They will love and support me as long as it has nothing to do with anything that is contrary to the beliefs or doctrines of the Mormon faith. Which, when you're on a Housewives show and you're writing a book called Bad Mormon, there's not a lot of real estate for us to engender positive conversations. So I don't have a lot of contact with my family, and that is part of the price I paid for going, public with my faith and my beliefs. But that's the Mormon way. We don't speak of it. Yeah. They'll say, would you like to come to lunch? And like, you guys, I'm writing a book about being a bad Mormon. Like, pass the salt, please. And then we'll move on. Like, you literally have never met a group of people more capable of acting like something doesn't exist.
Well, first of all, I think Heather's talking way too much about the Mormon church. That's just my opinion. I think she's like a church's nightmare. Like being from a church and you have a member that decides to leave. I think you should leave because you want to leave and you feel like that's the strongest thing to do in your life, for your life. And you should not blame your church. And I feel like she blames a lot, but that's me. My opinion. Maybe that's why she hates me.
You, Mary Cosby. Who's your husband? It's your step-granddaddy.
Then I also think that there's like a side that's like, wow, okay, well, she's really going to do this. She's really going to stand up against this powerful force of, what do they call it? An institution that she was accustomed to and raised to. And that's all she knew. And she's willing to walk another way and try her own path. It's empowering at the same time, but try not to blame so much on the church. Just do what you want and just keep it moving and shut your mouth. Okay. And it's just my opinion, but that's my view of it. It has two sides. It really does.
Since the beginning of the season, we've seen some tension between you and Lisa, especially where Jen Shah is involved.
She needs to apologize to my family.
I feel like she's been mistreated
on
too.
An unwarranted vendetta against my family. I have not done anything to Jennifer Shah.
What do you think led to this tension between the two of you?
That's a hard question. I don't know really with any sense of certainty, but I can speculate. Like I said, I do not understand the dynamic between Lisa and Jen. I don't understand the friendship. I don't understand how it evolved to the level that it did as quickly as it did when they really didn't know each other very well before Vegas at all. I don't quite get the whole thing. Again, not my problem, not my business, but it made me think that they had some kind of alliance, some sort. And I'm not saying that means it's anything other than we agree to have each other's back. I don't know what it is. but it did feel to me like something had gone on between the two of them. And then Lisa was very much caught in the middle. And she wanted to be a supportive friend to me, and she wanted to be a supportive friend to Jen.
What are you hoping to have with Meredith?
I am hurt because I have said sorry multiple times.
But at the end of the day, you know, she told me, well, I told Jen you shouldn't do this, that, or the other, but I've never seen that. You know, the conversation that I saw them have together, she didn't speak up on my behalf that I saw. All I really would have liked was for her in front of me at ice fishing or any time to have looked at Jen and said, Jen, you were wrong. You should never have done this. You know, just been really direct about it. And instead, she was doing what worked for her, and that's fine. Like, we're all human, which was to try to get us to come together and have peace.
Like, can we hear each other? I don't think now is the time. I just was listening to Jen screaming for the last 40 minutes. I think she's very upset.
Jen, how do you feel?
I am
are
not
you
very
are you
calm
in a
myself right
Do you
now.
feel like you're okay to have a conversation right now?
I just want to tell you, Meredith, I'm sorry.
She felt this sort of torn issue between me and Jen and didn't really know which way to go or how to navigate, which most people wouldn't. I'm not casting judgment on that. I think she was in a very difficult place. But that being said, I also saw like a little, you know, snide remarks from Jen, like something like, you know, well, your friend, whatever.
I'm done.
No.
Have fun with your friend. That isn't your friend.
Okay, stop.
So I know Lisa was being poked at there. I think it was that. I think she never liked that I was, you know, friendly with Heather.
Well, that's what I had
horrible, despicable,
well, listen, do you want me to have that conversation
my
with Heather?
family, my business.
Do you want me to have that conversation with Heather?
Not quite the same.
But to me, it is.
Even though Heather and we have known each other for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years before the show was even in existence. Heather at some point said to me, I feel like you distanced yourself from me because of Lisa. And I don't know if that's a fair statement, but I kept some space there is how I word it. You know, I knew that it was upsetting to Lisa, so I kept space there. And I don't think Lisa felt that way. I think she felt that I was, you know, all in. And I think that there was a lot of speculation on her part about my friendship with Heather, just as there was for me about her friendship with Jen. You know, I'm not judging her for it, but it was all these different factors that came in that kept, you know, building some tension. But like I said, it is what it is. Lisa's entitled to be friends with who she wants to be friends with. And by the way, if she's going to be there for Jen and be a great friend to her, Jen could use one. Like, fine. But I didn't get it. It didn't add up. It didn't make sense to me. And that was why I struggled so much to get my head around it, was because I didn't understand it. It's just odd. It's just odd.
This season, we see you and Robert Jr. discuss what his future may hold.
Oh my God, this kid. Tell me the truth. Do you want to move out?
Sometimes.
So how are you going to pay your rent?
I'm not sure yet.
That's when you're able to go and come as you please when you're paying your own bills. Okay, so right now he's got a job. He's working on his real estate license. Can you believe that? He wants to buy properties and sell them. So I'm pushing him to do that. And I just take it day at a time. I mean, that's what he wants to do right now. He's into it. He loves it. He's passing these tests like no big deal. Like he's thinking of, I tell him it's never too late to go back to school. Of course, you want him to go to college and you know, have something to fall back on. You need a degree, you need a fallback. But it's never too late. It's just at some point, go. You know, and so that's how I live my life with him. And I let him do what he loves, because I tell him, if you don't do what you love, you will never be successful at it. And if you don't do what you like, then eventually you won't go. So if you find the things you like, do the things you love, go for it. I'm standing in your corner. So that's how he's doing great. I think I'm proud of him. He just had a birthday, and my birthday present was 19 gifts because he turned 19. So I got him 19 things. Oh my gosh, it was so fun. But yeah, but he still has the same girlfriend, Chris.
Oh, I was going to ask, the girlfriend with the gift. The
yes.
purse gift.
Oh, gift.
So what would you buy your girlfriend for Christmas?
A Prada purse.
For Valentine's Day, he bought her chinchilla. And then for her birthday, he bought her a dog.
But a Prada purse? He buys her everything. It's like, I said, why are you? He's got that heart, and he's the gift that keeps on giving. But the problem is he's giving it off my money, and this has got to stop. Because he gets his check and then he puts it in the bank, but he's still using my credit card. So we're gonna get that worked out. That's dysfunctional, but it's okay. But yeah, she's still getting gifts, and they're not just the Prada purses. He has grown from Prada purses. I mean, she's getting leather coats and a whole new wardrobe.